this is anti-Semitic garbage. That's why we're bringing it up.
Any Jewish person that votes for Democrats hates their religion. They hate everything about Israel, and they should be ashamed of themselves because Israel will be destroyed.
70% of American Jews voted for Biden in 2020. That is ultimately what this is about.
Why do the Democrats hate Bibi Netanyahu?
I actually think they hate Israel.
Yes.
I don't think they hate him. I think they hate Israel. And the Democrat Party hates Israel.
He is trying to call people disloyal because he himself is incredibly disloyal to the people around him.
It's a tragic thing, really, for what used to be the Republican Party, and just for American decency. My goodness.
It's not the first time Trump has expressed similar beliefs.
In my opinion, you vote for a Democrat, you're being very disloyal to Jewish people, and you're being very disloyal to Israel. And only weak people would say anything other than that.
To tell somebody that they hate their entire religion unless you support their politics or their political party.
It's not a joke.
It's the same thing that freaks have been saying in the evangelical church. The argument is if you're not for Donald Trump, you're not a Christian.
What we've seen from Donald Trump is as he's gotten older, as he's aging, he's become a highly distilled version of himself. He's vengeful, he's vindictive, he is ultimately incredibly insecure, and he projects.
In September, he posted on social media on Rosh Hashanah that liberal Jews were voting to, quote, destroy America and Israel.
When you see those Palestinian marches, even I'm amazed at how many people are in those marches.
Why is it happening now? Because he's had a terrible week. Because he can't secure a bond. And his business is being shown for what it is, a fraud. And he's gone to 30 different bond companies to ask for money. They've all said no. He's feeling like a loser. So when he feels like a loser, this is what he does. He lashes out.
And that is a mashup of the reaction and analysis on CNN and MSNBC regarding Donald Trump's latest controversy. On a conservative podcast, Donald Trump said American Jewish people who vote for Democrats hate Israel and hate the Jewish religion. I'll get to the absurdity of that in a moment, but first some context. Over the past 6 months, many Jewish Americans have sharply criticized Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. First, it was because Netanyahu's government failed to keep Israelis safe. The security lapse enabled Hamas terrorists to infiltrate southern Israel last October, slaughter more than 1,000 innocent Israelis, and take 250 people hostage. More recently, the criticism of Netanyahu's government has focused on Israel's military strategy of retaliation against Hamas in Gaza. The war in Gaza has killed tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians. So yes, there has been American Jewish criticism of Netanyahu. There has also been even louder protests and criticism of Netanyahu by Israelis. And long before the Gaza war, hundreds of thousands of Israelis protested in the streets against Netanyahu because his right-wing government tried to rewrite Israel's constitution and take away the power of the courts. Are Israeli protesters anti-Israel? Of course not. They are just anti-Netanyahu, just as many American Jewish people are anti-Netanyahu and anti-Trump. But in Donald Trump's delusional mind, anybody who is not loyal to him and Trump's political allies is un-American and against their own religion. The irony, of course, and there's always irony and hypocrisy with Donald Trump, is that while Trump says criticizing Israel is despicable, Trump has no problem himself trashing America and lying about the U.S. government.
A tragic thing happened during the election. It was a tragedy because you wouldn't have, think of it, all of the problems that you have today, I don't think you would have had any of them. We're a third world country at our borders, and we're a third world country at our elections, and we have to stop that. Our cities are choking to death. Our states are dying. And frankly, our country is dying. Our country is known as a joke. It's a joke. Other leaders who I speak to, other leaders can't believe what happened to us.
Trump is free to criticize the U.S. government. He says he does it out of love for America. Well, many Jewish Americans who criticize Israel or Israel's prime minister do so out of love for Israel and the desire for Israel to be a better, more just society. Donald Trump knows that. But he seems determined these days to throw so much crap at American voters this year that we become numb to Trump's absurdities. Take, for example, Trump's finances. For years, Donald Trump insisted he was worth $14 billion. But clearly, he is not, as evidenced by this.
Former President Donald Trump is having trouble securing $454 million bond following the judgment in his New York civil fraud case.
His legal team calling it a, quote, practical impossibility.
Yeah, these companies don't do it. 30 companies that provide appeal bonds said no. And there's a chance he may have to sell off some of his properties.
On True Social, Trump responded by writing, "Nobody has ever heard of anything like this before. I would be forced to mortgage or sell great assets, perhaps at fire sale prices, and if and when I win the appeal, they would be gone. Does that make sense? Witch hunt, election interference. The screeds and eruptions happen every day, and fact-checking Donald Trump's claims is nearly impossible given the volume of lies, misleading statements, and outright fabrications that he posts on social media and declares in his speeches. And it has all made some American media, and certainly many American voters, indifferent. The Trump circus never stops, so the overload becomes something we just ignore. But along the way, we lose track of how far our democracy and our sensibilities have fallen. Thankfully, a few media institutions are trying to bring us the big picture, even if the details are too head-spinning to keep track of. Here's one of the latest ads from the Anti-Trump Lincoln Project. The spot is aimed specifically at Republicans.
It's not our party anymore. The Republican Party that made America safer, stronger. The party that put our security and American values first. A party born to expand liberty. The party of real free markets and economic growth that starts on Main Street, not rigged giveaways and special favors. Led by men and women of honor and courage, service and sacrifice. Leaders who never talk America down. That party is dead. We know why. We know who killed it. We're conservatives, not crazies. We believe in responsibility and accountability and following the Constitution and the law, even when we don't like the results. We don't have to agree with Joe Biden on every policy issue. We won't. And when we don't, we'll say so. But so much is at stake in this election that it's time to put country over party and America over Trump.
Country over party, America over Trump. And while that ad targets Republicans, it might as well speak for most Jewish Americans. We revere this country, believe in the Constitution, and find values of freedom, dignity, and justice in the fabric of this society. Donald Trump is trying to rip our society apart for his own personal gain and power. And Jewish Americans who stand in his way get a dose of Trump's anti-Semitism, because once again, Donald Trump has no shame. By the way, Donald Trump is lashing out at Ron DeSantis in the wake of the Florida governor ordering the release of sealed Jeffrey Epstein grand jury documents.
That law will become effective on July 1st. Finally, the public is going to be able to get answers.
The sanctimonious, they were with other people. Well, I'm not going to use that name anymore. It's not respectful. Let's call him Ron DeSantis.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Amber Chanel 3792, who wrote, "For once, DeSantis does something we can agree on." Indeed. If Ron DeSantis had shown even a fraction of the panache during his campaign that he has shown lately in trolling Donald Trump, DeSantis might have fared better. Anyway, I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump getting blasted for spewing anti-Semitism. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.